Hey guys, this is the tactical analysis video for Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. Watch it, let me know what you think of the video, and enjoy the
Hey
analysis.
guys,
Thank you.
welcome to the Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich analysis. The game ended 2-2 on the night. It was a very entertaining game, and it was an open game. The defending necessarily wasn't too great from each side, and this is how the game panned out. You had, let's dive into the analysis right away. You had Bayern Munich essentially playing with a 4-1-4-1 formation, or you can argue it's a 4-3-3 formation as well. A Real Madrid plotting a 4-4-2 formation, but Asensio had more of a free role, so you could see him sometimes on this side, sometimes on the middle, sometimes on the left, but mainly during when Bayern Munich had the ball, he was essentially on this side, on the left wing side. So you had a 4-4-2 with Real Madrid and a 4-1-4 on the Bayern Munich. So the first thing you notice in this formation is a 2v3 right over here. So you had Kovacic and Cruz battling it out essentially with James, Thiago, and Tolisso. So you had, let me just draw that over here. You had a 4, if you look at this box over here, you had a 3v2 in this game. So this allowed Bayern Munich to dominate the ball as well. And Ribery, let me get that. And Ribery as well was also allowed to come inside. So what they would do was Ribery would come inside, and you had Alaba overlapping all over here, and then you had James. Of course, Lewandowski would be a little bit inside, and you had this. You've had this situation many times in the game, and you had Kovacic and Kroos over here, and Modric over here. So if you look at over here, just look at that. So you see Ribery, James all getting into spaces, along with Thiago pushing up. You had Asensio who had tried to sort of defend, but he had Kimmich who could overlap on this side as well. So this allowed Bayern to put a lot of players in the Real Madrid box and also find spaces in between over here. You had James who could go inside and outside. You had Tolisso who could make runs over here. And you had Lewandowski who was always occupying the centre backs as well. Ribery could have played out wide or gone inside, but because Alaba, who played in this leg compared to Rafinha, he had a huge impact on the game as he allowed Ribery to cut inside, overloading. So you essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 versus about 4 Real Madrid defenders. And we also know that Kovacic and Kroos and Modric are not really central defensive midfielders, so they don't really have sort of the central defensive midfielding brain, and they're very reluctant to sort of get amongst over here and win the ball. Also, you don't see Real Madrid necessarily parking the bus, and Casemiro as well was on the bench. And if you had Casemiro, he would usually be in place of, let's say, Kovacic. Let me take Kovacic out here for 1 second. You would have Casemiro here, who would always drop and fill space between the centre backs to help out his team to sort of form make more numbers in the midfield for Real Madrid to help out in the defense as a back three maybe, or just sort of win the ball back here. But Zidane surprisingly decided to start Kovacic, which sort of handed the initiative to Bayern to sort of dominate the midfield, keep the ball, and sort of pressurize the Madrid defense. This happened a lot. Actually, the first goal comes in such a way that Kimmich, who was here, you had Muller making a wide run. You had Marcelo, who was a bit too deep, in my opinion. So for the first goal, you had Kimmich, who had made a run. You had Asensio tried to follow him, but who left him alone. Essentially, the ball got crossed by Muller. Muller fell to Kimmich, who scored the goal. So that's how the first goal happened. As you can see, Bayern again dominating the ball, dominating the midfield. Marcelo was too inside compared to Muller. There was too much space in between these two. So space between these two was clearly not enough, and that uh, sort of allowed Muller to put in a free ball through, allowed Kimmich to run through, and Asensio, who again is not great at marking, allowed Kimmich through, who was pretty much left free to score, whereas Ramos and Varane were occupied with Lewandowski, Ribery, and James, and even Tolisso. So that led to the first goal of Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid. Alright, so for Real Madrid's first goal, you had Marcelo, who had eventually made a run high up to the pitch, who crossed the ball from over here. You had Sul and Ronaldo and Hummels. Let me bring that closer to the box. You had These two people occupied by Ronaldo, which also allowed Benzema to make the run in behind, and you had Alaba who was following Benzema. In this cross, when Marcelo crossed to Benzema, Benzema basically beats Alaba. So Alaba and Benzema were both together. Benzema initially made a run here, which made Alaba follow him here, and then he beats him. He basically faked and ran behind Alaba to get himself free to then score and hit the ball inside. So that's how the Real Madrid's first goal came. It was a peach of a ball from Marcelo straight to Benzema. In this case, it was basically Benzema beating Alaba. Bayern Munich had a, a good formation in this case, a good defensive line. It was just Benzema outwitting Alaba for this goal. For Real Madrid's second goal, it was a huge error from Ulrich, so I'm not going to cover that. I'll move on to the second goal from Bayern Munich. So for second goal of Bayern Munich to make it 2-2, where it sort of always led to the brink of winning this leg. If you look at this, the first thing you see is Bayern all game had dominated Real Madrid, had dominated the midfield, essentially had loaded up the box, and the half of Real Madrid, and you had Sula, the centre back, crossing inside. You had Ramos who had come out to get him, Cruz and Marcelo, both of whom were in no position to sort of block or help the teammates out. You had Muller, Lewandowski, Ribery all for the ball. The ball reached James, whose first shot was blocked, and eventually it rebounded. He reacted faster than any players around him, like Vasquez, Varane, Cruz, Marcelo, who were not even nearby him, and scored the goal. So essentially, you had Bayern Munich dominating the midfield, dominating the box, and you had a width provided by Alaba, Kimmich, and even Muller, and that caused huge problems for Real Madrid, and that's how Bayern Munich were able to dominate the game and were very unlucky not to win the match. You also had Marcelo, who handled the ball at some point. He got away with it. You can understand why the referee didn't give it. His hand was right next to his body, so you can argue that it wasn't in an unnatural position, but he did block the ball with his hand. It should have been a penalty. Real Madrid did get lucky over there, but I can also understand why the referee wouldn't give it at the same time. And next point I'm going to cover is how Bayern Munich were able to keep Benzema, not Benzema because he scored 2 goals, Ronaldo sort of very quiet, even Asensio very quiet. So now I'm going to discuss how Bayern Munich basically, how they dominated the game again, and how they managed to keep Benzema and Ronaldo quiet as well. So right off the bat, you can see that it was a 4-4-2 more or less, with Asensio sometimes getting right. So now I'm going to discuss how Bayern Munich managed to keep Ronaldo and Co quiet. Was if you look at Asensio, even though he had space around here, he was essentially in a 4-4-2. If you simply look at the numbers here, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Bayern Munich players dominating the midfield. We know that Benzema and Ronaldo were usually up front, so you had a 7v4, and if you add Vasquez into Marcelo, 7v6. So Bayern Munich was still always dominating the numbers of Real Madrid in midfield. Vasquez is not a natural right back, and he was most of the time occupied with Ribery. You had Marcelo, who had to deal with Muller. That allowed Kimmich to make overlapping runs, so that gave them more. And Asensio, because he's not really a defender or someone who doesn't mark runs, that allowed Kimmich a lot of free space when Bayern Munich had the ball. You had Kroos and Kovacic, who are not necessarily central defensive midfielders. They are central midfielders and even central attacking midfielders in some cases. Were dominated by 3 midfielders in Thiago, James, and Tolisso, who managed to keep the ball. Lewandowski always occupied Varane and Ramos, so they couldn't come out and help. And if they did, so if Ramos, let's say he came to mark Tolisso, you had Lewandowski who would be free. Similarly, if you had Varane who popped out to mark James, you had Lewandowski who would get free. And if Ribery who could beat Vasquez one-on-one, you had Ribery who could get free. So because of this, Bayern Munich managed to dominate Real Madrid a lot, and a lot of the possession, had many chances and should have really scored more goals, and was simply not clinical enough. So on this reason, basically, on a very simple, if you look at the domination of Bayern Munich over Real Madrid in simple numbers, and how even if Kroos and Kovacic did a good job on James, you had Thiago who could bring the ball up, and then find space.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought about the video and the analysis in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the game. If you want me to cover more stuff next time, let me know about that. Always glad to sort of read your comments and see what you guys want. So just let me know, and I hope you enjoyed the analysis video. Take care. Looking forward to Liverpool versus Roma now. Cheers. Bye bye.